Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko. This is their part number 177AP is what this is. This is a threshold, obviously. This is a threshold known by a lot of types of terminology. It is a threshold that we will refer to as a bump-up style. See why we call it that. A latch track style that has everything to do with this thing over here. A panic type has everything to do with over here as well. A very typical and common type of threshold because it will serve, it will solve more than one problem in a single piece of equipment, and we're going to talk about that. What also makes it capable is its dimensional properties. So first of all, the 177 is literally this extrusion that is represented by the fact that it is a bump-up style threshold that is 5-inch wide. It is 1/2 inch tall. Okay. A very common question we get is what is the dimension of the rabbet, so to speak, of the item. Holding that tape measure up a bit upside down, but some people will ask it without the insert coming up to 2-inch. I pull that insert back, it's going to be probably closer to 1 7/8. Yeah, indeed, right in that area. And the other thing that makes it, the other dimensional property that makes it very important is that it's 7/8 overall height. So where you're going to use this with the relationship between overall height and the 7/8 overall and the 1/2 inch here would be hollow metal doors. 3/4 inch undercut doors would be perfect for this. Absolutely ideal for it, in fact. Now, what else makes it ideal is the fact that it is called a latching panic exit saddle, or a bump up. Bump up is what we call it. Bump up can refer to a lot of different thresholds, I suppose, and it'd be probably more appropriate to call this a latching or latch track threshold. And that's because the feature back here, this exact area where they use this, not that it's used there, I'm sure it's certainly used in applications more commonly without, but this would be compatible for use on doors where you had surface vertical rod exit devices, and the profile of the threshold here will act as the bottom strike. Assuming you have a Pullman style latch, the bottom strike will literally secure against the back profile of this threshold. That's why it's called a latching panic exit threshold. So where you're going to use this is going to be your pairs of doors on the back of your large buildings that have emergency exits. You're going to have a pair of surface vertical rod, and why cut a hole into the floor for the strike? Why interrupt the threshold? Don't use this threshold. You've got commercial hollow metal doors and frames, 3/4 inch undercut, and this really is ideal. Okay. Now the insert, backing up, 177. We've talked about where you're going to use it, why you're going to use it. You don't have to use it with exit devices. People will use it just because they want a bump up for the back of their single door. There could be a rim exit device. They're going to go over it with cart traffic. They like the pile as a result of that because the pile is not going to get too interrupted by cart traffic, hand wheel cart. If you were to stick some silicone or neoprene in there or vinyl, you might have more of an opportunity to permanently affect a negative change on that insert. Pile is going to be really forgiving. Okay. However, it would be quite important to point out that this is not handicap compliant. The taller than 1/2 inch is the problem. Single doors would work out for that application. People like the bump up because they get a positive seal on the inside face of the door. You know that you're sealed. Now, what I would suggest is that you add a door sweep out here. So I want to stop the intrusion out here. If it's being stopped in here, it's already under my door. That's too late. So add a sweep out here would be really ideal. Some sort of a sweep. They even have, Pemko even has angled bristle that can dovetail up against the face, not dovetail, but communicate to the face of this very well, and it would work out really nice for you. Now, moving through the part number, this is the pile insert. That's what the P stands for. This has a vinyl plastic rigid backer with this gray insert. Pile is nice because it, for the reason mentioned earlier, the cart traffic's not going to destroy the insert as readily. People like pile because it presents a very low compression force or obstacle or provide resistance to a door closer trying to get that door closed. Okay, so pile is going to seal really nice. Pile is also known to be very effective at keeping out insects. I've been told by people who make pile and bristle that an insect landing on pile, for some reason, I would imagine the incredibly irregular surface, that they don't like that at all, and that they will go away from that. If you've got insects on the inside of the door, that's where the problem is. So I don't know that it applies to a pile in a situation like this, but where it might apply is I have had people tell me that they've got a door that will close and they've got substantial compression on the hinge side or on the lock side, and at the other end it's quite loose. So, and they can't really move the threshold at all in the opening. So pile will compress severely when you are asking it to, but also stand proud when you're not compressing it as much, and will in effect, while it will prematurely fatigue that heavily compressed area, it will give you a seal. And the concept is the door will still close and latch. That's the idea. I can take my finger and really just smush that down to nothing. And then it pops back to us. Also, what's nice about pile is if you were to have a door with some sort of irregular surface, a slight deflection, that pile does a really good job at contouring itself to an irregular surface. So we've talked about where you use the threshold, its insert, and the advantages of it. The different finishes. A for mill aluminum, that's the one that we're looking at here. They call it mill aluminum because that is what the material looks like when it's extruded at the mill. Okay. And that's what I've been told. It's raw, it's unfinished, it's not going to have any sort of provision against any sort of minor blemishes that you see. It's just raw mill aluminum. Available in B as well. So B is interesting because B is going to be the indicator from Pemko for bronze, meaning solid bronze, meaning solid architectural bronze or brass. Not aluminum, but made of bronze. People call it brass, but it's architectural bronze. It's an amalgamation. It's an alloy of four primary materials that are used in the hardware industry because that particular alloy is really suited for use in door hardware and specifically thresholds. What's cool about that is the finishes that you can do on it are well, it's solid brass, so you can technically do anything to it. If you want to plate it polished chrome, you can have that done. Not that I would recommend that, but you could. But on brass, you can leave it as mill so that it patinas with exposure to the environment naturally. You can do a satin brass. You can do a polished brass. You can do a satin bronze. You can do an oil rub bronze. And the finish options continue to evolve with time. They might be able to do a black on it as well. That would be an oil rub process, similar to an oil rub process. That base material is material that is known to last decades, and I've seen brass thresholds installed that are over 100 years old easily. The downside, well, not the downside, but hand in hand, when you are buying something that will last 100 plus years, it seems like it is 100 times more expensive. It's not, but it's noticeably more expensive per foot. Other finishes on aluminum: black, suede powder coat. They can powder coat black, dark bronze, gold anodized, and then a satin nickel anodized. The satin nickel is not a true satin nickel at all. It's an anodized process over aluminum. It's not going to match perfectly to satin nickel, not even close. It's more of a dark gray color. But if you have satin nickel hardware, it will sure match better than polished brass would. So anyway, now this is listed in the site in lots of different lengths. You can have any length that you want. Lengths longer than 8 foot and longer get costly to ship, but nonetheless, if you've got If you need 18 pieces at 14 foot long, we can certainly supply you that material, not a problem at all. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces, and simply indicate in the comment field the net length that you'd like for us to send the material out at. We'd be happy to provide that for you. That will save you from having to relocate a dimple that's in the threshold. I would think that the factory should have provided us with 4 holes on this. The rule of thumb is this is a 3-foot piece. There should be 1 more hole than quantity of feet. That distance from the edge is, I'm not going to say that it's clinically unacceptable, but I'd like a hole a little bit closer to the end. And then they could have easily have given us a total of 4 holes, which I would have expected. But nonetheless, so if you need a custom length, order the next longest piece or pieces and indicate that length in the comment field, and that's how we're going to ship it out. And it will save you the trouble of having to cut it, because you might get this to the job site and say, oh, I don't have a saw, and I don't have a drill or a countersink to make a new hole. Anyway, that's the point. Don't order 36-inch pieces if you're cutting them down to 32 or something unusual like that. Or, in more possibly, you have a 36-inch wide door. You could have a 36-inch wide wood door, and you want to bump up threshold like this in your lower level, your basement walkout. That door itself could be 36-inch. So you would really need to order a 40-inch and then indicate in the comment field, cut it down to 36.5 or 36 3/8 or whatever it might work for you. Or just order the next longest piece and plan on cutting it. Anyway, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pemko products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. The name Pemko is quite synonymous with all things weather stripping related. By the way, screws are included. I should have pointed that out earlier. When it comes to weather stripping, Pemko has the broadest range, available spectrum of different options when it comes to weather stripping for both residential. Well, not residential. There's another company that has a substantial amount of very unusual solutions. They are in North America, but they're in Canada. So the trouble with that is it's always an international shipment. But when it comes to just Pemko, they have an incredibly diverse available product line of residential and commercial. That link below this video will get you to the product catalog where you can pull up and review all of the possible options. The link to the manufacturer's website is there, as well as a link, as well as all of the Pemko products that we sell. If you have any questions on the Pemko 177 AP mill aluminum pile threshold or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.